The time for small talk and cheap talk is done for the Chicago Bears team. What I mean by that is there's no more, oh, look at those young Bears. There's no more, oh, maybe such and such takes a leap or a step or whatever it is. You won 11 games last year. You won the NFC North, one of the toughest divisions in all of football. And Ben Johnson has this offense talk about chasing historic numbers in regards to how they're going to be able to score. So for Caleb Williams, it's time. I'm not saying that Caleb has to be the perfect quarterback or anything like that, but I am saying this is the season that Caleb Williams has to elevate the Chicago Bears to a certain degree to where we can't go as far as where we can go if Caleb Williams isn't on point. So in today's episode, I want to talk about how Caleb Williams can elevate the Chicago Bears past the shortcomings of this roster and why it needs to happen for this team. We're also going to talk about the running back 3 battle between Savon Ahmed and Roschon Johnson, who comes out on top of that. And Rome Odunze basically saying, hey, 1-on-1, I'm the best wide receiver. Throw that bitch up. We're going to talk about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go into this content for today, y'all. And man, I want to start off talking about Caleb Williams because Caleb has no more excuses. And that's a good thing, right? That is a good thing to be a place of the quarterback. Now, make no mistake about it. I know that the left tackle battle right now, the position's been a little shaky. Make no mistake about that. I'm not acting like the Bears are a perfect team. But what I'll say is this, is that the expectations have officially changed for this team. It's been for a while. Is Caleb progressing, right? And I know we haven't seen him a lot in this preseason, and we've heard some things and some rumblings in regards to that. And now it's this. The Bears won the division last year. And we need to start acting like a team that won the division last year. The offense produced 441 points last season. That's not a happenstance. It's not just a middling team that's developing and growing. Like, yes, we are still developing and progressing. It's the second year under Ben Johnson, so there is still things there. But guess what? This team has weapons all over the field. On the offensive side of the ball, we have weapons all over the field. Now, the left tackle position, as I said, may be the shakiest position with that, but like when you look at every level, we got guys. So when you look at it, the conversation for Caleb Williams this season needs to become, can you lead this thing in the way that we need to be led? Now, if the team falls short because of some other things, the defense, whatever else it is, it's there. We'll be able to evaluate it. But, we've seen good quarterbacks to great quarterbacks have amazing seasons with less than what Caleb Williams has here, right? So the argument for Caleb is this. When you look at it, he has an elite offensive play caller in Ben Johnson. That's why we brought him in here. And that relationship between Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson is one of the most important relationships, if not the most important. I would argue that the relationship between Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson probably is just as important. But, it's one of the most important ones. You need to be an extension of your head coach. And that is what we've heard is happening. That's what we've heard, all these things about Caleb Williams' understanding and grasp of the offense, and him and Ben Johnson are see things the same way and all that. We've talked about it all offseason, right? You have one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in football when you look at it. We've seen, a guy like Caden Davis, who would absolutely be a shoo-in to make some 53-man rosters, we're talking about him maybe being on the practice squad. Now, yes, everybody needs to be healthy, but when you look at it, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, right? Even when you look at your wide receiver threes, the combination between Jade Walker, Khalif Raymond, Xavier Thomas, you throw in Caden Davis in that, then you have your tight end in Colston Loveland, who is probably the best route runner on your team. And you already got guys that also shown themselves to be much better. You still got Cole Kmet there, right? You still got those guys there as well. So your tight ends overall are amazing. You probably have one of the most well-rounded and complete tight end rooms in the game of football when you add in Sam Roush and the flashes that he's shown as a receiver as well in preseason already, right? And I know some people are going to be like, hey, it's great. Like, I've told you guys for a long time, I've been trying to hold in my excitement for this team because I think and being an analyst, right, and being in this position and wanting to be more than just this fan-centric thing, that I try to hold back my excitement. Today, y'all getting the raw Bears fan Haize, right? It's because you have this. You have dangerous, explosive receivers. You have 3 tight ends that can all do some shit for you, right? All can block, can all catch passes. Colston Loveland may be the best tight end in the game of football as soon as this year, if not within the next 2 or 3 years, right? Then you have a legitimate run game that's powered by the offensive line that you have here. As much as we talk about shortcomings of Braxton Jones and even Theo Benedict, both of those guys are extremely solid in the run game, right? So you have that. Then you have the better offensive structure. You have that because of what Ben Johnson has laid out here. You have that because of what Dan Rouchar has done with as the offensive line coach, right? And then all of that bringing together the offensive line. If the left tackle position stabilizes, you're going to have, once again, one of the better offensive lines in the game of football. Now, the left tackle position is shaky because your starting left tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, is hurt, but you need it. But those guys are going to have to step the fuck up. Next man up mentality. You are going to have to get those guys to step up in major ways to get you to where you need to get to, right? And then the sack reduction rate. Going from a 10% sack rate to 3.8 shows that the structure around Caleb Williams has changed so much from in that first year of Ben Johnson that she's there. But then we get to the part that Caleb really does need to work on. And I know the people that get tired of hearing it, look, the 58.1% completion percentage, it can't be ignored. Ben Johnson's not ignoring it. Caleb Williams is not ignoring it. And the people that act like, well, the completion percentage doesn't matter. You just need to make more of the gimme. Guess what? If you make more of the gimmies, guess what? I think what people have misunderstood is that people have almost heard completion percentage, like my boy Darius, who, Darius is a little touched, as we've said. Sometimes, the frontal lobe of Darius doesn't always work all the way, especially when you throw numbers at him. If it's more than single-digit numbers, he's going to go a little cross-eyed. But when you talk about that, let's take the using the word completion percentage out for people like Darius, that it throws them off a little bit. When you look at it, this is what you want to see Caleb Williams do. Take the gimmies a little bit more, connect. You want to see your wide receivers catch the ball better as well. The timing of the throws, those need to improve, right? These are things that, as an elite quarterback, your timing has to be good. The underneath completions, that's where this, and I think especially this tight end room for the Chicago Bears, really can take things off to the next level. You get those underneath routes a little bit more consistent there. That's it, right? Then the third and manageable situations. We need to be better as a third down team. Those things go. That's what Caleb Williams needs to take the boring things, right? The things that you kind of take for granted and become elite at that and make those boring. Get those things. You do those things, the completion percentage naturally going to go up. So let's throw away the talk and make it about completion percentage. Get those underneath throws. Get the timing throws, right? That we see just that little bit of timing that's off a little bit sometimes. The overthrows, the underthrows, the miss and drop passes. Get those together. You get those things together in an elite way, that offense is going to hum. And that's an offense is going to be so tough to stop. So then you got to look at it. Great quarterbacks cover up their team's flaws. Patrick Mahomes does it. Josh Allen does it. Elite quarterbacks reach a point where something around them can be slightly broken, and they still make it a survivable situation in which your team overall can thrive in. Is that a lot to put on the quarterback? Yes. But what have I always said? Quarterbacks get an undue amount of the claim and the blame when situations go. And that's just a situation that you look at. You want to be an elite quarterback in this league, that's what you have to go. That is what Caleb Williams is telling us that he wants to get to. Your left tackle struggling, make the protection call. You get out, escape, do those type of things. If your running back depth is compromised, guess what? Throw it into favorable situations, take those underneath throws, take the gimmies. The defense is giving up points, answer. That is the expectation that is there if you want to be an elite and a great quarterback in this. You have to problem solve. Caleb Williams has to be so good that he's the solve for a lot of the Chicago Bears problems. That's it, right? That is the sign of elite quarterback. Again, is that fair? Hell no. It is not fair, because ideally you want your GM to make the good decisions. You want them to find talent to bring in here to fix holes. You want that to get done. But like I said to somebody in the comment section the other day, if it was as simple as going out and fixing every problem on a roster, every team would have a perfect roster. And then we just would duke it out between perfect rosters. It's not going to happen. You don't live in a perfect environment in football. And that's what pressure is about in sports. It's about how do you deal with the things and the criticisms that aren't necessarily fair How do you manage those? That's it. Am I saying that it's fair that Caleb Williams in the offense may have to overcome the defense giving up points? Hell no, it's not, because you should have a defense, especially be it a damn Chicago Bears team that is the monsters of the Midway. But unfortunately, we don't know if we're going to have that. So what does that mean that it's going to put on the Caleb Williams and the offensive line and the weapons? It means that they're going to have to put up even more points to overcome a defense that may be a little bit shaky. Your pass rush is shaky on the defensive side of the ball. You have to continue getting good field position, at least move down the field, so your defense has more opportunities to stop the team, right? As far as them have to go, the opposing offense has to go farther. That is what you have to do. If this offense as a whole is going to be elite, which a lot of people have talked about and said that it can be, it means that it has to overcome the other shortcomings of this team. That's what elite parts of your game do. Of course, I would love to see and say that we can be an elite offense and an elite defense. But unfortunately, this is the real world, and we're more pragmatic than that, and it doesn't always happen in that manner. So let's see what Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, the weapons, and this offense can do for the Bears this season. Moving on from that, one of the questions that a lot of people have been asking, right, is did Ryan Poles gamble too hard on the defensive line? And I think that we're gonna talk about both sides of this, right? Because this is probably the biggest debate that's gonna have on this episode, right? You can't say that Ryan Poles completely ignored the defensive line. He didn't. But you can't also say that he went, hey, let's go out and find a star on this defensive line. Instead, the Chicago Bears came in and they're betting on development, health, and rotation. That's what they're betting on for this defensive line, right? And so the question now is that, and I've said this multiple times, this is my personal opinion, the run defense is actually the pass rush's biggest problem. That's it. And this is something I've said before, right? When you look at it in regards to it, it's easy just to say get more sacks. Sure, but how do you get more sacks? If opponents are averaging 5 yards per carry, then they're constantly creating second and short situations, 2nd and 5, 3rd and short situations, 3 and 2, right? Then the play action is there, the bootleg, the quick game, the up-tempo game, right? You can't unleash Montez Sweat and Devin Booker consistently because offenses aren't forced into obvious passing downs. That is why I've said, and many others, I won't act like I'm the only one in the Bears community saying it because I'm not, but that's why I say things like being a consistent run defense, a better run. If you had to give me the option of saying, are the Bears going to become an elite pass rushing team or an elite run stopping team? I'm going to pick the elite run stopping team every time, because if you stop the run, you're putting the opposing offense in disadvantageous situations, and then your defense can put more pressure on them, right? Because now you're forcing them to be a one-dimensional team and pass, right? That's what you're trying to do. So when you look at the swing players on this team, Javon Dexter is a huge swing player on this team, right? Because Javon Dexter doesn't have to become Aaron Darnold to be there, but he does need to be dependable. You need to hold your gap. You need to find a way to anchor consistently. You got to push and collapse that pocket and avoid disappearing in stretches like he does so oftenly. If Dexter makes a jump this year where he becomes and even this, his sack number is fine as a starting defensive tackle, but be more consistent in how you get pressure, be more consistent in how you stop the run. If Javon Dexter makes a serious step, God forbid an actual leap this season, then of course, Jared Allen has more, or Grady Jarrett has more freedom to do some things. Montez Sweat is going to have better opportunities. Austin Booker is also going to have better opportunities. And then Dennis Allen can get a little bit more creative in how he uses his coverages and how he uses his fronts, right? But then it has to come down to Austin Booker as well. Austin Booker, I get it, the injuries, the sack number, he gets a little bit of a pass, but he also needs to make that step in the run defense as well. If we get Javon Dexter and Austin Booker to both make a collective step as run defenders this season, everything changes for the Chicago Bears. Everything changes for the Chicago Bears, because then we're stopping the run, we're putting teams in clear passing situations, and thus we don't have to play for both. And that is where that defensive backs and the scheme that Dennis Allen has in that defensive backfield can take the most precedence when you do stuff like that. But wait, I'm also going to throw another player out there. Jordan Vanderberg has the chance to be a real steal and prove it this year, right? And I'm not going to say that it's fool's gold if he doesn't bring in his rookie year and stuff like that, but this is what we've seen from Jordan Vanderberg. We've seen strength, we've seen the motor, we've seen the pursuit, we've seen him deal with double team attention, we've seen him deal with pressure, and that is why the hype around Jordan Vanderberg is real. The traits translate. I get it. It's preseason. He's not facing off against starters. He's not going to be a starter yet, right? And he simply he's not simply just cleaning up block sacks. He's not just getting into the backfield when nobody's blocking him or things like that. He is actually moving people the fuck around. That's what he's doing. And I know, once again, I started off the show with a curse word. I've been cursing all through it. Here's the thing. I'm going to keep telling y'all this. If you don't like cursing, this ain't the show for you. This ain't a show for kids. This ain't a show for everybody. If you don't like cursing, I don't know what to tell you. Go over to chat now. They got you covered, because I'm going to be me. We're going to talk how Chicago talk here. And so I think that what he's showing and the strength that he's showing and displaying, that's real. But at the same time, it's August. He's not consistently facing off against the better offensive linemen, and real season is going to be different for him. But I'll say this. He doesn't have to be a star in year one to be a steal. Those are two different things. And Jordan Vandenberg, a Javon and Austin Booker that make a step as run defenders and in consistency and staying healthy, right? Jordan Vandenberg that shows himself to be a steal. Those three things, this is part of the gamble that Ryan Poles has played. And if that gamble pays off, the Chicago Bears defense could be a lot more formidable than what they were last season. We just got to see if it's going to come out in reality. All right, last topic of the day. I want to talk about the running back 3 battle, because we got some comments in regards to Ben Johnson on the running back 3 battle that may seem like Roschon Johnson may be ahead of this, right? Ben Johnson has made the running back battle, the running back 3, about who he can trust and what he needs those guys to do. I'm going to read a direct quote from Ben Johnson here, and he said this. Now, this was in regards to Roschon, but I do think it gives a kind of insight on what he's looking for from the RB3. He said he flashed the other day, in particular on special teams. And we're talking about the importance of being the number 3 running back, or depth in the running back room, and being able to bring that to the table. He had a couple of really nice plays in practice. Can't wait to see what it looked like on the game tape, because we talked about wanting to see players stack good performances back-to-back, and he's a candidate that may have done that. We'll see, right? Like, Ben Johnson has been very clear that what he wants from his depth, not only the running back 3, but also the wide receiver depth, right? And I think when you look at it, we're going to talk about the case that each one of these guys have to be the running back 3. For Roschon Johnson, the case is this. He's bigger. He's more fit. He has a more physical profile. He already has experience being in the league as long as he has and being with the Bears as long as that he has. And the special teams value that he brings give him a real case for this. He is so much better suited for the dirty yard situations that you could be in. And if healthy, he's such a good pass protector as well that you can't overlook that. But then when you look at Salvon Ahmed, right, and what he's shown so far for the Chicago Bears, he's just flashed more in training camp and in preseason games as a complete running back on the offensive side of the ball, meaning both the runs and catching passes out the backfield. He does give more of an offensive burst than what Roschon Johnson does, because, again, Roschon is the dirty work guy. And then you look at the fact that he already has a relationship with Eric Studsville as well, the Chicago Bears running back coach. He's shown value on special teams, and he gives them a kind of different speed element behind Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. But I think when you look at this, Salvon Ahmed may not have the name recognition, and I don't know if you can even really say Roschon has a name recognition either, but I do think that it makes this the case for this battle very interesting. And I do think Salvon is making this decision very hard on the Chicago Bears, right? What he's brought in has been great. He's averaged 6.6 yards per carry, right? That is production that absolutely has to get your attention. He's brought receiving ability, the creation in space. Those are things, right? But the questions for him are, can he protect Caleb? Can he do that consistently enough? Can he convert on 3rd and 1, right? Can he handle a blitz pickup? Because that's one thing that Roschon Johnson does really well, is handle that blitz pickup. So those are things that we're going to have to see, right? Savon has proven that he can make plays, but now he has to prove that he can do the dirty work. For Ben Johnson, I think, to fully trust him as a running back 3. But for Roschon, he has to prove that his ass can stay healthy, because all the potential in the world don't matter if you're on the sideline hurt most of the time. And that's where we're going to have, and that's the distinction between these two guys at the running back 3 position. And we'll see which one ends up walking away with it. Last topic of the day. I know I said the last one was the last topic. I forgot. Rome Odunze has talked about, what he brings as the wide receiver. And he said this in regards to it and the challenge of going up and making tough contested catches. He says this: I love it. I think that's definitely something, especially like on the outside, those opportunities, just the stress of the defense. I feel like, when it's one-on-one opportunity out here, we got safety leverage or something like that, then, one-on-one kind of 50-50 ball is one of my areas of expertise. So something I'm excited about, something we've definitely worked on in camp. Okay, right? The question now many people are asking, because I think that the injury concerns with the foot have been kind of calmed down after seeing Rome Odunze out there and stuff like this, right? I think when you look at what Rome brings as a 6'3" wide receiver, right? I think when you look at how that adds a complement to Luther, Loveland, Kmet, Swift, all those type of guys, right? You now have multiple options of guys that can go underneath, that can go across the middle of the field. And Rome Odunze, to me, has to become the guy that if you put one quarter on him on the outside, that he's going to punish that matchup day in and day out. If Rome can do that, that's it, right? I think that we got to see what Rome does this year. And the chemistry with Caleb Williams also has to improve because it just has not been there. When you look at the things that Rome has to do this season, stay healthy, improve on the drops in the chemistry with Caleb Williams, of course, and get more high percentage opportunities where you get that. And then if you come away with most of those 50-50 balls, that's big for the Chicago Bears also. We're going to see what Rome Odunze does this year. I love hearing things from Rome. I love that he's fired up. I love that he's motivated, because that quote that he had on, "This is my new normal," on the foot really did concern a lot of Bears fans, understandably, but he has to show and quiet that down with his play on the football field this season. And let's see and hope that he can do that. But that's going to do it for today's episode, man. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you sound off in the comment section if you're on the YouTube side on all the topics that we covered today. We love to hear from you guys. We love to interact with you guys as well. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or live stream. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.